Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. In today's video, I'm going to talk about amazing women again. I've told you before, the month of March is Women's Month where I'm from, so I really want to take the time to talk about amazing women in literature, in BookTube, Bookstagram, authors, fictional characters, all badass, amazing, wonderful, creative women. So today I'm going to focus on authors, my favorite female authors, and I'm going to tell you about why I love them. I'm going to tell you which amazing story of theirs is my favorite, and I'm going to also tell you if there's anything coming up by this author that I'm looking forward to pick up. So basically today I'm going to gush about all-time favorite books of mine and all-time favorite authors of mine, auto-buy authors that I'm looking forward to seeing new books from. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think at the beginning of this month, Bree did exactly the same formatting of a video. So I'm going to link her video below in the description box if you want to check that one out. It's Bree from In Love and Words. So you can go ahead and check that video out. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and dive in with my all-time favorite author, who is Kennedy Ryan. Kennedy Ryan, I've read most of her backlist. I only haven't read the Kingmaker series and the couple of novellas that she's written. All the other series and books I have already read, and I've loved every single one of them. They've all been 5-star reads or 4-star reads, but most of them actually have been 5-star reads for me. And when it comes to picking a favorite, it's not easy. I'm gonna tell you, I don't know which one to pick as a favorite because I'm going back and forth and I'm like, is it real? Is it Before I Let Go? Is it Grip? Which one is it? Is it Long Shot? And all of them are 5-star reads for me and I'm like, I cannot pick. But yeah, just to go back to why I love her stories before I pick my favorite, I think she has such an amazing way of bringing about characters who have an actual life presented to us. It's not really a situation where you jump into someone's life and then you start living it with them. We really get their backstory. We get what they've been through in life. We get the emotional baggage that they're carrying with them. We get the relationships that they've built, and we feel those relationships within her book. So even if it's not the romantic ones, but the friendships, like in Before I Let Go, it's just really a very big kind of like a movie that you get in a book form. It's just so amazingly written, and all the emotional nuances that are brought into the stories are just amazing. I I really have a difficult time picking a favorite. I'm going back and forth, and if I have to pick a series, I'm going to go with Grip, with the Grip series. That series is focusing on an interracial relationship between a man who is a rapper and a woman who starts working with him as his manager, and she's actually his best friend's sister. And there's just so much goodness going on in that trilogy. The first book is just chef's kiss. It's like the prelude to how they met and how their story started, and it's just so amazing. I don't have the right adjectives to explain how amazing that single novella is. And then if I have to pick a standalone, even though it's not a standalone anymore, is it? Real. Real is going to be a series. So again, it's kind of a yeah, they're on the same level for me. Grip and Real are both favorite books of mine. Real is a story that focuses on a movie director who is looking for the best fit for an amazing story that he wants to depict. And he finds Neva, who is a Broadway stand-in, and he feels that she's the right fit for the role. But while they're filming, they also start having feelings for each other, which is a forbidden romance because he shouldn't be dating an actress because he has a past with dating actresses, which has gone wrong. So yeah, it's a forbidden romance, and it's such an amazing story. There is I have it back here, by the way, and this is Before I Let Go. And then we have Real. It's just a wonderful, marvelous book. When it comes to What's Coming by Kennedy Ryan, I saw a couple of interviews of hers back in December when she was promoting Before I Let Go. And she mentioned that she's working on releasing Score, which is the second book within the Real series. It's called the Renaissance series, if I'm not mistaken. And it's going to focus on, I think, Cannon's best friend. It's his romance, basically. So I really am very much looking forward to anything that Kennedy Ryan releases. Oh, by the way, she just released in February an Audible only, like a Audible exclusive kind of little novella that might be interesting to check out as well if you love Kennedy Ryan. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to anything new that she releases. Next up on my list is K.A. Tucker. I have loved almost all of the books that I've read by K.A. Tucker, and also her alias, which is Nina West. And when I think about my favorite series by K.A. Tucker, it's got to be the Simple Wild, or the Wild series. I think about this series with such a fond memory. When I think about it, I know that when I read the first book, I had kind of maxed out on specific types of romances at that time. And when I picked this one up, I was like, oh, I want to read more. I want to know more. And this kind of atmospheric read where you have a secluded area. The Simple Wild, or the Wild series, is about a woman who lives in Canada. She's from big town. I think she's from Toronto. And she finds out that her dad has a terminal illness, and her dad lives in Alaska. So she goes back to Alaska to kind of have her last moments with him before he passes. And she's like a real big city girl. She hasn't been living in a small town or in a remote area ever. And when she goes there, it's such a clash between city girl and small town situation that it just it has a lot of funny moments that alleviate the heaviness of the topic within the book. At the same time, the romance between herself, Kala, and the pilot who picks her up, Jonah, is so banter filled, and there is such amazing chemistry between them that it makes for such an amazing story. And at the same time, it's such an atmospheric read because we have the pilot who flies throughout the small Alaskan towns to get provisions for people, to help people out who are in medical situations. And you don't really encounter that too much. So you're really curious to find out more about this wonderful, amazing, nature filled place. So, how was I captured by the whole, like the whole world that was depicted there? And also the last book that was focusing on one of the side characters in the first couple of books, that one focused on mushing, and I had never read a book about mushing before, so I was captivated by that whole world as well. So I was just, my heart was filled up when it comes to such reads where you have an amazing romance, you have an atmospheric read, you have a stellar kind of backstory with relationships with the other side characters. It was just perfection for me. So I absolutely love the Wild series. If you haven't read it yet, please pick it up because it's amazing. And then when it comes to books that are coming out, I know that K. Tucker has released a fantasy series. 2 books are already out, and one is still coming up sometime, I believe, this year, at the end of this year, if I'm not mistaken. And I haven't yet picked them up, and I'm going to try them out sometime soon. It's called the Fate and Flame series. So yeah, those are books that I'm looking forward to reading by this author. Next up, I'm going to talk about Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid has such amazing ability to create characters that are fictional, but that seem like they're real life people. It's like she's writing like biopics in written form. It's just such an amazing feat that she can create someone who you want to kind of look up on Google and see where they're at life. And it's not going to happen because they don't actually exist. And you have that with Daisy Jones and the Six. You have that with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. You have that with Carrie Soto is Back. You have that with Malibu Rising. You have that with almost every single book that she has written. And I love that about her. All of her books are ones that when I dive into them, I don't want to get out of them. I want to know more and more and more about the people that she has created. And I honestly don't know which of her books I will have to pick when it comes to a favorite. I'm kind of going back and forth between Daisy Jones and the Six and Carrie Soto is Back. I had very different experiences with both of these books because I read Daisy Jones and the Six in audiobook format, which was superb, while I read Carrie Soto is Back in paperback form. And both of those were amazing experiences for me. So it's difficult for me to pick one of the two. But yeah, both of them. I just have to pick both of them. And then when it comes to something new releasing, honestly, I don't know that something new is coming up because I know that she's now working on her so the series that was created on the basis of Daisy Jones and the Six, and there's also going to be a movie on, I believe, Netflix, if I'm not mistaken, which is based on one of her books. So she's kind of in the process of those things going on. So I don't really know what she's going to be releasing sometime soon, but whatever she releases, I'm going to buy. Next up, I'm going to talk about Brittany Cherry or Brittany C. Cherry. I love Brittany Cherry. She's such an amazing light within the book community. I also follow her on Instagram, and she has such an infectious smile and such a warm and kind personality, and it really shines through also through her writing. She has the most emotional kinds of books, and I think that what really draws me to her books is that I know that even though I'm going to start off on a very emotional journey and one which may really break my heart, I know that she's going to mend it back together in the end. So this is really what makes me push through all her books and really have this almost cathartic experience with her books because I go through all the emotion that her characters are put through. I go through all the heartache, but then in the end, I feel like I've recovered from all of it. And I just love that about her books. And again, here it's very difficult for me to pick a favorite. I have two favorites off of her Element series. The Air He Breathes is one of them, and then the other one is The Gravity of Us. Those two are just so amazing because in both the situations, the characters go through specific trauma that has kind of scarred them for life. And it takes one person coming into their life or coming back into their life in one of the book's cases to really bring them out of that trauma. And it's just so powerful to read about. I love, love, love Brittany Cherry's books. And when it comes to new releases, she just released back in December a holiday themed book, which is called The Holidates. And there is also a book off of her backlist that I'm very, very excited to read sometime soon, I hope. It's Behind the Bars. I haven't read it yet, and I know that it's a favorite of Bree's, if I'm not mistaken, from In Love and Words. So I definitely want to pick that one up because it's supposed to be a very emotional story that also centers on a musical, I think a singer, or I don't know. I don't want to know anything. I just want to dive into it and enjoy it and feel the amazing emotion that Brittany Cherry can always evoke from me. So yeah, I absolutely adore this author. Next up, I'm going to talk about Mia Sheridan. Now, everyone knows Mia Sheridan because she wrote Archer's Voice, which is an absolute marvelous romance. I absolutely love it. I gave it 5 stars. It's a favorite of mine, but if I have to pick a favorite by this author specifically, I need to go with Kyland. Kyland is also part of her sign series. So she wrote 12 books, which are each focusing on a zodiac sign. And Kyland is the type of book that, very much like Brittany Cherry, it has the same kind of effect of you going through all the trauma or the emotional turmoil that the characters are going through, only to end up finally having kind of a cathartic experience. But with this story, it was really so difficult to get through on one hand because we have two characters who are living in poverty, and both of them are competing to get a scholarship so they can get out of their poverty stricken town. But in the meantime, they also fall for each other. So it's kind of like you want the best for yourself so you can get out, but you also want the best for the other person. So you kind of want them to have it as well. And it's just so amazing, endearing, heartbreaking. There's just so many emotions going into that story, and I absolutely loved it. I read it really a while back ago, so I may need to revisit it because now thinking about it, it just makes me want to pick it up again. And yeah, it's an amazing story. Last year, Mia Sheridan released the follow-up to Archer's Voice, which is called Travis, which focuses on Travis, who is kind of like the bad guy in Archer's Voice. And I read that one and I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. And then she is releasing a romantic suspense book, which is called Bad Mother. It's going to come out next week, actually, on the 28th of March. And I'm really looking forward to that because it's a different type of story than the ones that she has written before. So I'm really curious to check that one out. Next up, I'm going to talk about the queen of slow burn romances, Mariana Zapata. I think she has some kind of a magic wand where she is able to transform a slow burn into the most interesting kind of story. I know that a lot of people don't like slow burns because they can get boring or frustrating because the couple doesn't get together until almost the end of the book. But Mariana Zapata has the ability to make this kind of a tension and kind of angst within the story that keeps you almost wanting uh, for them not to get together so you can still keep on feeling this angst, you know? It's just so amazing how she depicts relationships and how it's really important for the characters to go through a specific journey before their romance actually starts. I love that. And when I think about Mariana Zapata stories, I've read most of them. Again, not her entire backlist, but when I think about a favorite of mine, I have to say that it's From Look Up with Love because this book, again, when I read it, it just left such an impact on me. It's one of the books that I think, even if I don't ever reread it, I'm always going to remember what it's about and how it made me feel, which is very special. And this story also has my favorite, as Crystal from Crystal Bookish Life calls them, an alpha mellow. So someone who is an alpha hero, but also kind of has a gushy, mellow, kind of cinnamon rolly quality to him. So yeah, Ivan is one of my favorite book boyfriends, book husbands, and I'm always going to remember that story very fondly. It's a story about a couple who needs to figure skate together to go on competitions, and they have a kind of hate to love relationship going on, enemies to lovers, I don't know how you want to call it. So yeah, I just love that story so much. And when it comes to new releases, I don't know that she's going to release anything anytime soon because she usually releases a book a year. But last year she actually released a surprise release for many people. It's called When Gracie Met the Grump. And it's a very interesting, different kind of story because it focuses on like a superhero, I think. I haven't read it yet. I'm looking forward to reading it, and I hope I love it as much as the other books I've read by this author. Next up, I'm going to talk about Emma Scott. I love Emma Scott so much because just like Brittany Cherry and to some extent Mia Sheridan, she creates stories which really bring you through the ringer emotionally, and I love that. She has such a wonderful way of very beautiful writing style. I have so many quotes from her books that I've loved. And when it comes to a favorite book of hers, there's a couple that have really stood out to me, but if I have to pick a favorite, it's from her Lost Boys series. And I think it's the second book, and it's called When You Come Back to Me. This book is an MM story, and it focuses on a character who has had to go through a gay correction camp, if I'm not mistaken, that's what it's called, which is just absolutely horrific to think about that it exists, but also to think about what these boys go through when they get sent there. And it was such a difficult read when it comes to this portion of the book, to read about what has happened to this boy. But then the recovery from that is where really the story is so strong for me, and how this person, he finds a found family with the Lost Boys, but also he wants to be better, he wants to do better, he needs to heal himself before he can actually embark on being in a healthy relationship. And I love that story. I love it so much. And I definitely want to read anything that Emma Scott releases. And I believe her latest release is Between Hello and Goodbye. And everyone has been raving about it. So I really can't wait to pick it up. And then another book that I'm very interested in picking up by this author, it's from her backlist, but I really, really want to get to it as soon as possible, is called Rush. And this story focuses on a vision impaired character. So I'm really looking forward to, to that story. I'm very curious about it. Next up, I'm going to talk about Ali Hazelwood. Now, Ali Hazelwood hasn't yet released very many stories. She has 2 full-length novels and 3 novellas that she has released by now. I've read the full-length novels and I've read 2 of the novellas, so I still need to read the last novella that is part of the Loathe to Love You, I think, a bundle of novellas. And then, I've loved every one of them. I really like her kind of lighter style of writing, and a lot of banter in the books, and a lot of little tidbits of science that go into her books. And she has just a more of a lighter approach to writing, and I love that. Sometimes you need this kind of a story. So when I think about The Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain, both of them are just such amazing stories. They may not be as emotionally loaded as, for example, Brittany Cherry's books or Emma Scott's books, but they still bring the same kind of enjoyment for me, but obviously in a different way because they have a different emotional baggage with them. So I just love the way that she writes. I love the way that she makes me want to rush through the story to find out what happens. And I'm really looking forward to the new release that she's going to have. It was supposed to release, I believe, in April, but now it's pushed back 1 or 2 months, and it's called Love Theoretically, and it's again within the STEM world that she loves to write in. So yeah, I just love Ali Hazelwood, and anything that she releases, I'm going to buy. We have another author who loves to write emotional stories. It's Jewel E. Ann, and I have so many books by this author that I've given 4 or 5 stars to that it was difficult for me to pick a favorite, but I'm going to go with one that hasn't been discussed a lot. At least I believe it hasn't been discussed a lot on BookTube. Typically I hear about Look the Part or For Lucy, but I'm going to go with Undeniably You. This story, when I picked it up, I thought it was going to be kind of lighthearted because it focused on this woman who is going house sitting for her family in this amazing kind of a mansion, I think in California somewhere. And there is this horrible dog that she needs to house or to dog sit basically in that house. And there is this guy whom she believes is the pool boy, and she kind of treats him like the pool boy, but it turns out he's a doctor who lives next door. And it kind of starts off like a funny story, but then it just picks up the pace and it's such an amazing read. I really, really love that one. And now that I think about it, I want to reread it again. So yeah, Julianne has a different kind of ability that has made me love her books. One of the things that I love about what she has done with one of the stories that I've read by her, which is called Naked Love, if I'm not mistaken, is that she has made an unlikable character for me. So the type of character that I absolutely loathe. She has made me want to stick with the story and want to finish it, and made me love the growth of that character, which is just amazing for me because when it comes to unlikable characters, it takes a lot for them to redeem themselves, in my opinion. So yeah, she just did such an amazing job in that story. And then when it comes to this specific story, it just her character development is amazing. Like the growth that we see, someone like they start within the book as someone maybe who is shallow, or someone who has preconceived notions, someone who is judgmental, or someone who is like um, just not really very experienced in life. And then by the end of the book, we see a totally different person through the experiences that they've gone through, the conversations that they've had with certain characters in the book. And I love that. I just love that, and I love her books, and I'm going to continue on buying her books. And she's going to have a release, which she's releasing it either at the end of March or the beginning of April, I'm not sure. It's called If This Is Love. It's a small town romance, and I think it's a cowboy romance, if I'm not mistaken. I'm really looking forward to it, so I'm going to be picking that one up. This video is going to be long again, but I'm not going to hold myself back in mentioning two new favorites of mine that I've just started to love. The first one being Liz Ford. This author has written my favorite books of 2023 so far, Mile High and The Right Move. The Right Move is possibly my favorite book of the year by now, and I love those stories, both of them. And there's just so many things to love about them. I've talked about them a lot, so I'm not going to spend too much time explaining what these books are about, and I think everyone by now has read them. But yeah, this author has just such an amazing ability to create a swoony romance, the type of romance that makes you want to gush and makes you want to live in that romantic world that she creates. And I'm here for it, and I really cannot wait for the next story, which will release, I believe, in October. It's going to be called Caught Up, and it's going to focus on Kai, who was mentioned in The Right Move. And I also cannot wait because I heard in an interview that she did that she's going to release a fourth book within the Windy City series, which is going to focus on Rio, one of the side characters within both of the books that were already released. He's part of the hockey team, and I really cannot wait. So yeah, I've been loving her books, and I'm definitely going to be picking up anything else that she releases. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about the author who was blown up, I believe, the most as of last year, and that is Elsie Silver. And I think that I haven't yet read all of her books, but the two books that I've read have been stellar. I read Heartless and Flawless, and I'm going to be picking up Powerless in April. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up her other series throughout the year to just work through her backlist as well, because I've heard that those are really good as well. And I saw her interview on Jess's channel, and I loved her personality as well. So I really am looking forward to read anything that she has released and that she's going to release. I also know that she is going to release another book within her Chestnut Spring series, so the Flawless, Heartless, Powerless. There's going to be a fourth book called Reckless, which is going to come out, I believe, sometime in October or November of this year. But honestly, I'm most looking forward to her releasing a book about the third brother, Bo, off of that world. So I really hope that there's going to be a fifth book sometime after that one. So yeah, I've been loving Elsie Silver. She has immaculate spice in the books, and she has amazing banter within the characters, and she has the right amount of emotional turmoil within the books. And honestly, when it comes to Heartless, there's just not one single thing that I can mention that did not work for me, and that is just so rare. So yeah, really applause for Elsie Silver for writing just such amazing stories. And again, anything that she releases, I'm going to pick up. So yeah, basically, again, a new all-time favorite author of mine. This was a short list of my all-time favorite female authors. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know who your all-time favorites are and which books you've loved by them. And I just want to shower with love anyone who has made me feel this much, and who has made me laugh this much, and who has made me just escape reality as much as they have. And I'll always be loving on them. I'm going to mention their books anytime that I can. And yeah, again, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you very soon in the next one. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to follow my content. And have a wonderful, marvelous, sunny day. Happy reading. Take care, and bye-bye.